It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We are indeed broadcasting live throughout the John Fredericks Radio Network from our studios in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. A little cold here in Nashville today, but not as bad as in other parts of the country, north and Washington, D.C., West Virginia, Virginia, all experiencing some levels of snow. And we're hearing there may be some intermittent power outages. And those intermittent power outages may possibly be influencing you as you listen to the radio. Sometimes it's in and out, and that's a consequence of these power outages on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Okay, want to talk a little bit about the new stations that have been added to the John Fredericks Radio Network in West Virginia. Of course, we're in Nashville, we're in Memphis, we're in Atlanta, all across Virginia, in Pittsburgh, in Philadelphia, and now new stations in West Virginia. WZST 100.9 FM in Morgantown, WGYE 102.7 and 95.3 FM in Morgantown and Mannington, West Virginia, WMMN AM 920 and 95.7 FM in Fairmont, North Central West Virginia and Wheeling, West Virginia, WHTI 105.7 FM in Clarksburg, West Virginia, WBKE AM 1490 and 98.3 FM in Morgantown, Fairmont, and Grafton, and WRLF 94.3 in Morgantown, Fairmont, and North Central West Virginia. Now, those stations have been, until today, music programming. Now, if you're listening and are expecting music, you're hearing the musical lyrics of politics, of America First Politics, as brought to you from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern by John Fredericks, and 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern by yours truly, Michael Patrick Leahy. And I think you'll enjoy it. You might be looking for music, but perhaps you like our tunes a little bit better here. Asterisk. Bad joke. Also in West Virginia, at university is now all of the sports programs are on the John Fredericks Radio Network. We're talking baseball, basketball, football, and he carries in West Virginia the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Pittsburgh Penguins. So there you go. And you're welcome to call in if you'd like to. You have 615-649-8477, 615-649-8477. That is for all of our listeners on the radio, on terrestrial radio, listening to us on YouTube. And then on February 1st, the John Fredericks Radio Network and this program will all be available on Roku, innumerable channels, and we're all working on that. So that's what the future is. Speaking of the future, sometimes you go back to the past to predict the future. And I want to play this clip. We've been talking and hearing a lot about the rape gangs in the United Kingdom, which have been, I think, prevalent for the past 15 years or so, where immigrants from largely Arab countries, male immigrants, have been allegedly grooming and raping young girls in England, thousands, according to various reports. Now that is, stunning if true. Elon Musk has been tweeting about this nonstop for the past day or two, and others have been reporting on it for much longer time. Raheem Kassam, our friend at the National Pulse, has been reporting on this since 2014. But even earlier, do you remember the great Christopher Hitchens, a Brit who came to the United States, who started out as a left-winger and became kind of an anti-Islamist, somewhat conservative guy, asterisk, passed away, unfortunately, in 2011 of esophageal cancer, I think it was. And but in 2009, before he was diagnosed, when he was in his prime, he talked about what the future of the United Kingdom would look like. And we're going to play this clip, so buckle up. And here's Christopher Hitchens from 2009.
Give it up or give it to your deadliest enemy and pay for the rope that will choke you. This is very urgent business, ladies and gentlemen, I beseech you. Resist it while you still can, and before the right to complain is taken away from you, which will be the next thing. You will be told you can't complain because you're Islamophobic. The term is already being introduced into the culture as if it was an accusation of race hatred, for example, or bigotry, whereas it's only the objection to the preachings of a very extreme and absolutist religion. Watch out for these symptoms. They are not just symptoms of surrender, very often ecumenically offered to you by men of God in other robes, Christian and Jewish and smarmy ecumenical. These are the ones who will hold open the gates for the barbarians. The barbarians never take a city till someone holds the gates open for them. And it's your own preachers who will do it for you, and your own multicultural authorities who will do it for you. Resist it while you can. And if you wonder what will happen if you don't, look and see how a cricket team in Middlesex in England had to change its name by force last week because it was called, and had been for years, the Middlesex Crusaders. Look and see how stories about little pigs can't be taught to children in English schools anymore, lest offense be taken by the religion of peace. Resist it while you can.
One of the things that is coming up over and over again.
Let me just pause this for a moment. We'll come back. Okay, so I do want to come back to that. So the first voice was Christopher Hitchens. The next voice is the current Prime Minister of England, Keir Starmer, Labour guy, who the claims are they covered up all these years of gang rapes of young English women by immigrants, largely Pakistani immigrants in the United Kingdom. Okay, more Starmer.
Is coming up over and over again is Islamophobia. And, well, you can see the stats, you can see the numbers rising, particularly since October the 7th. Although we shouldn't fall into the trap of thinking that before October the 7th, this was all heading in the right direction. It's been far too high for far too long. Clearly, we need to just say over and over again, Islamophobia is intolerable. It can never, ever be justified. And we have to continue with a zero tolerance approach.
Okay, so let's stop this. Zero tolerance approach of Islamophobia. What does that mean? It means if you point out a fact about Islamists in the United Kingdom today, they put you in jail. They put you in jail. There's no freedom of speech for critics of Islamists who, according to some sources, have been for decades organizing these rape gangs throughout parts of England. Now, here we have the latest statement of Starmer. We'll just start this out, where he's attacking Elon Musk for pointing out this history of the rape gangs in the United Kingdom. Here you go, clip 18.
Partnership. On the question of Elon Musk, look, I think most people are more interested in what's going to happen to the NHS, frankly, than what's happening on Twitter. But you asked me a really important question that's been in the news for the last few days. I am going to, with permission, just answer it quite fully because it is a really important set of issues. And let me start with this. Child sexual exploitation is utterly sickening, utterly sickening. And for many, many years, too many victims have been completely let down by perverse ideas about community relations, or by the idea that institutions must be protected above all else. And they've not been listened to, and they've not been heard. And when I was chief prosecutor...
Okay, so let me just stop there. He's saying it's bad, but the complaint is he knew it was bad. He knew it was happening. He didn't do anything to stop it. His government in the United Kingdom may fall. That would be a good thing for the United States of America. All right, when we get back, Donald Trump had a big event in Mar-a-Lago on Saturday. Our own Rachel Alexander was there. This was the unveiling of the documentary about the legal persecution of the great attorney, John Eastman. Back after this, I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Breaking news from Just the News and the Globe and Mail in Toronto, Canada. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau resigned just a few minutes ago as the leader of Canada. This is not a surprise. He's a disaster. His resignation was first reported in the Canada news outlet Globe and Mail. He's led the Liberal Party of Canada since 2013. He's been Prime Minister since 2015. It's a 9-year run of disaster. He will reportedly stay on as Prime Minister until a new leader is selected. His popularity among voters began to decline as far back as November of 2020, roughly 9 months into the COVID-19 pandemic. Voters re-elected Trudeau in 2021, but his party failed to win a majority of votes in Parliament. He's since faced criticism from the Conservative opposition. Basically, what we've got here is, now the question is going to be, in the parliamentary system, how's this all going to work out, right? Are they going to try to find another interim prime minister, or are they going to go to elections? They have got an odd system. They've got until till October of this coming year. They must hold elections by then. Seems to me the smart thing to do would be just to call the election and get it over with. The likely guy to replace him, Pierre Poilievre, who's the head of the Conservative Party there. Conservative with an asterisk. Wouldn't be American conservative. It's just he's not a complete lunatic, as is Justin Trudeau. We will keep you posted. What we told you earlier today at the Morning Rundown, that this was likely to happen, it has happened. So there you go. All right. We have another breaking story that is for you. It's in the category of lawfare, and we're going to get to a broader lawfare story here in just a bit. But Donald Trump's lawyers have requested a delay of Friday's hush money case sentencing while they appeal to stop it. Judge Juan Merchan has rejected Trump's attempt to dismiss the verdict and the indictment based on presidential immunity grounds. Here's a story by Nicholas Bolassi at Just the News. President-elect Donald Trump requested a delay earlier today on Monday of this Friday's sentencing in his hush money case while his lawyers appeal the previous ruling that upheld his guilty verdict on trumped-up charges of bookkeeping baloney, basically. 34 felony counts of somebody in his accounting department putting a payment to Michael Cohen in the wrong category. That's it. Trump's legal team is asking the state appeals court to reverse Judge Merchan's decision to proceed with sentencing on Friday. Merchan rejected Trump's attempt to dismiss the verdict and the indictment based on presidential immunity grounds. Merchan has said he does not intend to sentence Trump to jail time. What are they do? What's that about? Well, Merchan basically wants to say he's a convicted felon. That's it. That's all. He can't say that until sentencing. So you got that going on. Meanwhile, on the topic of lawfare, our reporter from the Arizona Sun-Times, our lead reporter on national lawfare issues, Rachel Alexander, was at Mar-a-Lago. Yes, Mar-a-Lago, West Palm Beach, Florida, the home and the development owned by Donald J. Trump. She was down there Saturday night, and they had a premiere of a documentary about John Eastman. He's the well-respected constitutional attorney who provided advice to President Trump on methods by which the Electoral College count, the certification that took place on January 6, 2021, could be delayed by sending a note on 3 contested states back to the state legislatures for consideration. Now, John Eastman has been recommended to be disbarred under a, crazy Kafkaesque trial in California that we at the Star News Network and Rachel Alexander, our lead reporter on these issues, was the only person to report on. She covered like 42 days of it, 42 stories on it, and it was a travesty of justice. So they did a documentary on this. They debuted it down at Mar-a-Lago Saturday night, and we have the clip of Donald Trump speaking at the debut of this John Eastman documentary Saturday. Here it is.
Woman, the Prime Minister of Italy. Does everybody know? Giorgia Meloni. And she's really taken Europe by storm, and everybody else. And we're just having dinner tonight, and I said I'd love to come down. I'm a big fan of John Eastman. He was right. He happened to be right. That's why they changed the law. Nobody wants to talk about that. And Alan talks about it all the time, but they changed the law. Those votes could have been sent back, as they should have been able to. And they said, he's not allowed to do it, he's not allowed to do it. And they convinced him that he wasn't allowed to do it, our vice president. And then right after the election, they said, let's change the law so he can't do it. But they had everyone convinced he couldn't do it except John. And actually, John, in all fairness, a lot of other legal scholars agreed with you. And some are very willing to say that. So I just think that this is going to be very good. We decided not to have dessert up top, and we're going to watch something which I hear is fantastic. And I also saw Rudy's around someplace. Yeah! The greatest mayor. What they've done to Rudy, but Rudy's going to come out on top. It's just a question of time. I know Rudy. It's all going to happen. It's all going to happen. And I saw Peter. Where's Peter? Peter Navarro. He gave a good, brilliant speech. And the General Flynn. And Jeff Clark. Where's Jeff Clark? Hi, Jeff. You are fantastic.
Okay,
Jeff.
just pause it here for a moment, and we'll come back to it. So now President Trump is recognizing our very good friend, Jeff Clark, who was a former senior official at the Department of Justice, who is being hounded attempted to be hounded out of the legal profession because he wrote a memo to President Trump on the same topic as John Eastman did. And he just outlined some options for him. And he never sent the memo. He just prepared the memo. And the leftists at the District of Columbia Bar are trying to basically take away his law license for that, at least suspend him for 2 years. Jeff is a good friend. In fact, on Friday, when E.J. Haas was guest hosting for me, I was at the Hawk and Dove restaurant having lunch with Jeff Clark. And so we had a terrific talk, and it was important to let him know that he is a great attorney and that he's going to end up winning all of these challenges in the end. And this is something, by the way, that President Trump said Saturday night. So the next day, Saturday night, Jeff was down at Mar-a-Lago and gave a talk in front of the documentary. And here's the effusive praise for Jeff Clark from President Trump at Mar-a-Lago on Saturday night.
I wanted to tell you that, but I wasn't sure how many people would be listening on they tap your phones, they screw up your phones. I was willing to do it anyway because I'm proud of it. You are really fantastic. I want to tell you that. So, good. And I got to watch your little thing. Alan Dershowitz, of course, is a great defender The only thing I don't like about Alan is, well, I didn't vote for him. There's no way he voted for Biden. Does anybody? He says that because he wants to make his wife happy. He's got a great wife. And she's a very strong Democrat, but I think she'll be changing. I really do. But Alan really has been fantastic. He actually thinks it's better to say, it's better when he says, and he always says, he uses this as an excuse. He said, it's really better when I say that I didn't vote for you. I said, yeah, but I don't like it. I don't like myself. But nobody voted for Biden or Kamala. Give me a break. Nobody that knows what's happening, and he knows what's happening. We have a couple of great men. You know Scott Bessent, Treasury, right here. Put up your hand, and nobody heard of this guy. He's a man that just isn't that well known. The Secretary of State in about 16 days, Marco Rubio and Mrs. Rubio.
So there we go. So it's a big crowd, and it's interesting. I mean, Mar-a-Lago right now, I've never been to Mar-a-Lago. I suppose I got to go down there at some point. But it's like a big, big party of all these America First people there. Of course, they're all trying to get favor with President Trump. Our own Rachel Alexander was there, and I think if all goes well, in the next hour, we'll be able to talk to Rachel about that experience. But right now, we're going to talk with Tom Zawistowski. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Back after this.
My fellow Americans, I was this close, very close, to buying from the lumber yards. These are sick people. But I turned my head at the last second, and I saw a big, beautiful ad for D.T. McCall's. These are highly respected people. If I had not turned my head at the last second, I would have been ripped off at some lumber yard for $200 in hidden charges, and D.T. McCall and Sons are never going to do that. They'd never do that to you. These are great people. I've known them for a long time. They have great deals, and I just have to say, nobody knows deals like I do. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. These are tremendous people. D.T. McCall & Sons. Check out one of their stores today.
Impersonator not endorsed by Donald Trump.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We're broadcasting live from our studios in downtown Nashville. We welcome to our Zoom Newsmaker line right now, live from Akron, Ohio, our very good friend for many years, a Tea Party leader extraordinaire, Mr. Tom Zalestowski of the We the People Convention. Welcome, Tom.
Oh, good morning, Michael, from a very snowy Akron, Ohio. I don't know if you guys got any of that ice and rain yesterday, but we got some snow for the first time, so it's actually winter here for the first time this year.
Wintry Akron, Ohio. Well, Tom,
yeah,
I've got the clock out. It is 2 weeks and 26 minutes until until Donald J. Trump is sworn in as the 47th president of the United States. Today, a very significant event is about to take place. A joint session of Congress will be held, at which time the Congress is expected to certify the 312 electoral college votes obtained by Donald Trump and the 226 electoral college votes obtained by Kamala Harris, which means that they will certify the election of Donald J. Trump as the 47th president of the United States. The irony of that, of course, the ministerial duty of confirming that, because of the recent changes in the Electoral Count Act, it will be Vice President Kamala Harris. Your thoughts on the joint session of Congress that's going to take place in just a few minutes?
Yeah, it's really sweet and ironic to have her forced to have to oversee Donald Trump's comeback, and that's going to be a joyous moment for us on what is otherwise a solemn day, because 4 years ago today I was in Washington D.C. on January 6th. And we were trying to get our elected officials to represent us and to look at the election results from 2020, and they failed to do that. And so today we are excited that Donald Trump and that this comeback that we, the people, actually instigated and carried through and has been successful. But it's going to be a perilous, number of days and minutes, Michael, as you count down to getting President Trump actually sworn in as president, because there's a lot of things going on that are pretty scary.
Yeah. And look, my prayer is that Donald Trump will remain vibrant and alive until he's sworn in as president. Because, absolutely. I mean, you look around, terrorist attacks, lone wolves, organized attacks, drone attacks, these are all things to be concerned about. And clearly, go ahead.
Yeah, we are concerned, and we as Americans need to be concerned, and we need to be on our guard, because the people that conducted this coup, and that's what it was, the Fedsurrection was simply a cover-up of the coup. They know they're going to prison. They know that they're going to face justice, and we intend to impose justice upon them. And so there's nothing they won't do to try to escape. and we're going to have to be strong and tough regardless of what happens, and we're going to have to persevere. But the good news is that God has granted us this opportunity to basically set things straight and put our nation back on a a course that is based on our foundational values of equal justice under the law and freedom of speech and all those type of things. So it's a mixed emotions day, isn't it, Michael? I mean, for you and I, from our perspective, it's kind of a tough day.
It's not a tough day at all for me. It's a happy day because I look at first things first, and this is the last remaining administrative obstacle to Donald Trump becoming the 47th president of the United States. And look, let's get through this day, and then let's make it through the next 2 weeks. Let's get Trump inaugurated and back to the White House safely, when he can start issuing pardons for the J6 defendants who were improperly convicted and issue executive orders to reverse all of the disastrous policies that Joe Biden has been doubling down, tripling down on in the last, in the last days of his failing administration. So let's go back to J6 of 2021. The thing that strikes me is about 1,500. I think about 1,500 American citizens have been convicted, and have served.
I think it's 1,541. Though Graves, the one attorney, DOJ official today, promised that he's going to arrest 200 more before Trump's inaugurated. He's going to go out and arrest 200 more of us.
But hasn't he resigned? He
resigned on the 16th.
Oh, so effective the 16th.
So he has like a week, to go round up some more people, because we wouldn't really want to stop those Al Qaeda, terrorists in New Orleans. We want to stop that person who 4 years ago walked through an open door and didn't do any damage. That's the priority of the FBI.
Yeah, which basically tells you how sick the whole institution has become. January 20th can't get here soon enough, and Kash Patel can't be confirmed as the director of FBI soon enough. Pam Bondi can't be confirmed as Attorney General soon enough, so that we can actually get back to doing the things that the FBI and the Department of Justice should have done, that is, to stop terrorism. Instead, they've been hounding American patriots and putting them in jail and in prison under false charges. There are, of those 1,500, I think about like 1,450 just walked around. There are others that had some levels of more involvement, but I know personally. So one of my buddies, Stuart Parks, walked around for 20 minutes, very peacefully. He picked up one of those, wands you wave over people to see if they've got any metal things on them, and picked that up for a while and put it down. And he was convicted in a bench trial by this terrible judge, Amit Mehta, prosecuted by Graves. And he was sentenced to 8 months in federal prison. He was in from February of this year until July. He was in a medium security federal prison in Memphis. And then he spent about a month in a halfway house, and now he's out free and clear. But, there's no reason why Stuart Parks should have been convicted. Go ahead, Tom.
Not if there's real justice, not under normal circumstances. So again, that's why I put a story on WeThePeopleConvention.org just a few hours ago, reminding people to share with their fellow citizens why Donald Trump must pardon these January 6th political prisoners, because not enough people understand. They've got the propaganda, they got the talking points, the insurrection, etc. But there was no insurrection. There was a political protest. And in that story, you'll see a link to the fact that January 6, 2021 was one of the worst cases of police brutality since the civil rights era. And it details really detailed what happened that day. That was the government inciting people to defend themselves.
Yeah, entrapment.
But that's
basically
all going to be fixed. We're going to fix that, Michael. They have not heard the story of January 6th yet. What they've heard is misinformation propaganda. We're going to investigate, and when the truth comes out, all of history will know that this was a coup and the insurrection was a cover-up of the coup.
You actually, on your email that you just sent out, since you're based in Ohio, you sent out a list of those who have been convicted and sentenced, and then another list of those convicted awaiting sentencing, and then those that are basically have been charged. And it's a long, long list. And these are people, people you and I know. These are just people. These are people that have showed up at Tea Party rallies and gotten engaged, and just it's classic civic engagement. My thinking on this is, there's 1,540 that have been convicted and sentenced and serving in prison. I think, probably what Trump ought to do is pardon 1,500 of them and then commute the other 40 who may have been involved in some level of
because if you
violence.
did something that deserved a penalty, you've already served that penalty.
Right.
I mean, some of these people have been in prison for 4 years without a trial, Michael. They've never been in front of a judge. How is that equal justice? How is that swift justice? That's torture. The number of people in solitary confinement, people denied their medications, people beaten by guards. This is a stain on our country's history. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, I think this was the worst thing the U.S. government has done since the internment of the Japanese Americans in World War II unjustly.
Yeah, and
that's what this was.
And there are a number that have been, I don't know the exact number, but there are those that have not had a trial yet and have been in prison, particularly in the District of Columbia jails, which are notoriously awful and on the verge of brutal towards these people. All of those guys ought to be released on January 20th, in my view. Your thoughts on this, Tom Zalestowski?
Yeah, for sure. And I also posted a story just last week at WeThePeopleConvention.org that said President Trump really needs to not just clean up our criminal justice system, and the word criminal is definitive of the justice system, but that we need to do something about our prisons. Steve Bannon talked about his experience. I don't know what's happened, but the article I posted on our website literally shows that we aren't helping because the people that we put in prison get put out and they commit more crimes. It's all broken. It needs.
Last question. We got 60 seconds. An Ohio question. When will Mike DeWine appoint a replacement to J.D. Vance in the Senate, and who's the current leader? Is it still Timken?
Michael, that has been the topic of discussion by a lot of people, and no one knows. No one seems to know.
I'm going to tell the governor it should be Tom Zalestowski. I keep telling you that.
I would serve.
You would serve.
Hey, I would.
Governor DeWine, Tom Z will serve. Tom, thanks for joining us today.
That's right. Thank you. Happy New Year to you and all your listeners.
Same to you.
Mike.
We'll be back with more after this. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Hey, I'm Governor Bill Lee, and I want to talk to you about an important education bill in Tennessee. Everyone knows that education has the power to change the trajectory of a child's life forever. And anyone who's raised a child knows that each one's different in their educational needs, and their learning styles, and their talents. The fact is, parents know their own children best. They know what's best for their education and their future. That's why I'm here to talk to you about Tennessee's Education Freedom Act. It empowers parents across our state to use their tax dollars to choose the school that allows their child to thrive, regardless of zip code or income, all while making significant investments in Tennessee's public education. If you want to learn how you can help make the Education Freedom Act a reality in Tennessee, go to educationfreedomact.com and write or call your state representatives. It's educationfreedomact.com.
This ad is paid for by Job Creators Network.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Momentarily, a joint session of Congress will be held, and they will certify the election of Donald J. Trump as the 47th President of the United States. Now we are 2 weeks and 9 minutes away from Donald Trump being sworn in. Oh, my goodness. It can't happen soon enough. By the way, before we get to our content here, I wanted to mention another programming note for those of you listening in West Virginia. The John Fredericks Radio Network has expanded, has a number of new stations in West Virginia. Now, look, John Fredericks has been a good friend of mine for many, many years. And, of course, we are partners in the Virginia Star and the Georgia Star News and Pennsylvania Daily Star. And this program is broadcast to all of the John Fredericks radio networks in the United States of America, which include many in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and Atlanta, innumerable stations in Virginia, and here in Tennessee, 760 AM WENO in Nashville, and 730 AM KQPN in Memphis. Now, today, if you're listening in a number of stations in West Virginia that used to have music, now you're hearing yours truly in this hour, and you are hearing John Fredericks in this morning from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Here are the stations that are now part of the John Fredericks Radio Network. You see, by the way, details at wvthetorch.com, wvthetorch.com. WZST 100.9 FM in Morgantown, West Virginia. WGYE 102.7 FM and 95.3 FM in Morgantown and Mannington. WMMN AM 920 and 95.7 FM in Fairmont, North Central West Virginia and Wheeling, West Virginia. WHTI 105.7 in Clarksburg, West Virginia. WBKE AM 1490 and 98.3 FM in Morgantown, Fairmont, and Grafton, West Virginia. And WRLF 94.3 FM in Morgantown, Fairmont, and North Central West Virginia. And just a reminder, in West Virginia, on those John Fredericks Radio Network radio stations, you can listen to the Pittsburgh Steelers, Pittsburgh Penguins, and it is the West Virginia University Athletics flagship station, baseball, basketball, and football. And I know John very excited about that because his son, Joe Fredericks, is an outstanding middle reliever in his sophomore year for the West Virginia Mountaineers. And so, look, John predicts they're going to go to Omaha for the College World Series. I hope they do. So there you go. Welcome to everybody in West Virginia. And if you want to call in and say hello from West Virginia, our number is 615-649-8477, 615-649-8477. All right. Now, we're talking about medals of freedom. I'm telling you. Joe Biden or his staffers have decided, yeah, we're going to make the transition as miserable as possible, and we're going to kind of double down on all the failures of the Biden administration. And one of the ways that they've doubled down is they've given a Congressional Medal of Freedom not just to George Soros, not just to Hillary Clinton, but also to Liz Cheney. Are you kidding? Yeah, Liz Cheney. Here is Molly Hemingway talking about the ridiculousness of Liz Cheney getting a Presidential Medal of Freedom. Clip 15.
Give us your reaction to President Biden issuing these medals.
Well, this award to Liz Cheney really is inappropriate. This is a woman who was hand-selected by Nancy Pelosi to run a committee that was extremely one-sided. Liz Cheney, in the course of running this committee to supposedly investigate the January 6th incident at the Capitol, she obstructed justice. She witness tampered. We have lots of reason to believe she witness tampered with Cassidy Hutchinson getting involved in that woman's actual legal representation. She hid evidence that exonerated Donald Trump. I mean, one of the big things that Liz Cheney had said was that Donald Trump had not, in fact, sought a presence at the Capitol to protect people who were protesting. And she had evidence when she conducted her interviews that the deputy chief of staff said he personally heard Donald Trump say that he thought 10,000 National Guard troops would be good, that he heard the chief of staff talk to the D.C. mayor encouraging her to request those troops. But she hid that evidence, completely failed to release that evidence until, and it only came out after Republicans took control of the House. This is not someone that you should be giving an award to, someone who's witness tampering, obstructing justice, and the like.
So do you think she broke the law? Because remember, in the last few weeks, there was some conversation about Biden issuing her a pardon. Is a pardon warranted?
Well, I think the pardon is being sought by people who know what she did because she is in legal jeopardy. At the very least, she should be investigated for this. But I also think it's just so interesting.
Well, let's go on now to, we've got another little breaking news. Just now, Attorney General Merrick Garland praised the FBI and the Justice Department prosecutors for their zealous pursuit of those who were at the Capitol 4 years ago. Garland took office just weeks after the 2021 attack. And he's been basically, or the events on January 6, 2021. Merrick Garland is a guy who has been involved in the legal persecution of Donald Trump. He's a guy who's going to need a pardon as well. You think he's going to get it? I think he will. Hey, we'll be back with more of the Tennessee Bonus Hour and Crom Carmichael. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy. Read all our stories at TennesseeStar.com, TennesseeStar.com.